Hello everyone and welcome to the second in my series of Saturn through the houses, Saturn in your second house. This is suitable for Vedic astrology but also Western astrology as long as you are having sign for a house, equal house system. So second house Saturn has important aspects on your fourth house of home, mother and happiness, on your eighth house of other people's wealth and sudden events, and on your 11th house of your assets. So let's explore. So the second house is the house of our environment early on in life. It's the house of our wealth, everything that we have, me and mine, things which we own. It's actually about survival on a very primal level. It's about survival of our species. So all the things we need to survive: food, nourishment, love, warmth, and security. Now, Saturn is here, so for a karmic reason, there will be some lack there. Now, this could be very simple, like you are actually born into poverty, and that's a very simple karmic explanation. But very often there is no poverty, not in a material sense, not real poverty, but there is a lack of security. There is a lack of inner nourishment in that early home environment. So, and this will affect you all of your life, and you have this feeling deep inside of vulnerability. Okay? And then the next level of it is that you are here to become self-sufficient. It's really important that you get this sort of karma. It's going to be crucial to make the best of this second house shani, because you have a tendency to reach out to other people in sort of desperation all the time. Help me, etc., etc. But Shani won't allow that to happen. Again and again, he will make you fall back on your own resources, on your own inner strength. And therefore, the good news is, as you mature, particularly after 36, you develop enormous resilience and you develop enormous sufficiency. And as regard to your wealth and your resources, it's a slow journey for you. Okay, a very slow journey, in which you will slowly increase as you get older. But once more, it's about you have to do it for yourself. And that's the whole key of it, okay? And as I say, it's not an easy journey, okay? Because of the early environment has left you vulnerable, has actually left you feeling a bit insecure. The second side of this second house shani is that you have nourishment issues. Now, the nourishment is what you take in and what you give out through your mouth, okay? Because the mouth is actually a significator here. So, nourishment which you take in, food, also drink, you can become compulsive about these things, okay? There may be serious disorders like alcoholism and eating disorders like anorexia, bulimia, so on. This is all from the inner insecurity which I've just been talking about. On the other hand, you can be very creative with food, and that's all for the good, where you become a cook and you share food. And again, that's really good because that's a positive side of this second house shani. Now, the other side is speech, because this is also nourishment, okay? Because with our words, we nourish other people. And therefore, nourishing other people is important for you. It's all part of your karma. But what you tend to do compulsively is be brutally honest, be brutally factual, and hurt other people. So be careful with that. That's the worst thing, because then Shani's going to really have to bring you some payback there. Try to avoid it. It's an absolute compulsion for you sometimes. The other side of it is that you find it hard to be absolutely honest. Again, it's not because you're a nasty bad person. It's because you like to elaborate. You've just developed the habit from a very early age about elaborating on the facts. So be very careful about falsehood of any kind. It is really what you have to 100% avoid. Now let's have a look at these really important aspects. Let's begin with the fourth house, the third aspect on your fourth house of home, mother, and happiness. It's really important. Now, Shani's aspect on your fourth house, his third aspect, is very difficult, but it fits in exactly with the sort of karmas I've been talking about, that feeling of insecurity, of lacking nourishment. Often it's the mother or a mother type figure with whom you have this sort of difficulty. It can be many scenarios, but the main thing is you have a mother issue at the back of your head. It's not that you don't love your mother or, respect your mother. Simply put, it can be just that she is not there. She is not available. At the worst case scenario, she has actually died. That can happen. But if she is present, there is a block with the mother in some subtle way that you're going to have to work through. And again, if it's a strong shani in a really good sign, it won't be that hard. It will just be some, minor issues with your mother. But the very important thing is that home life and finding security in a home of your own becomes an absolute mega thing for you in this lifetime. Finding the right home where you feel really secure can for many of you become very hard and very difficult. But again, after 36, really good news is it falls into place. But this inner insecurity is something which you're going to have to work on, because this is the actual house of our happiness. It doesn't mean that you are absolutely going to be miserable, but you find it hard to find a real sense of well-being as long as you have this niggling feeling of vulnerability. So very often psychotherapy, counselling, all these things can be very helpful for a second house shiny. And I've often seen around the vehicle issues, a fourth house is our vehicles and our transport and stuff. Many of you are very self-sufficient here, where you actually don't even want to drive a car. You're not into big cars and all that stuff. It all depends on the sign. It'll be one or the other, where you're really into it and feel a lack, okay, or you're very self-sufficient and you're not at all concerned about having really fantastic forms of transport and so on, okay. But as I say, as your wealth increases slowly after the age of 36, for sure, all of this will fall into place. Now the seventh aspect. I often find and think that the seventh aspect of any planet is the most difficult, because it's what faces. So Saturn is directly looking at 100%. Well, actually, no, people say 70 to 80% opposite, but it doesn't seem like that in the actual world. I think that this seventh house aspect is huge. This is the eighth house of other people's wealth. And very often there is some huge specific karma here, where you actually have to nourish other people. You, as I've just been talking about, have a sort of default of expecting them to nourish you, but it probably isn't going to happen that way. It's you who have to take responsibility for other people, and particularly later in life it'll become very obvious. And this can be your spouse's relatives or your own family, but you have to give to them. That is very often the main karma here. Secondly, sudden events turn your life round, because this is the eighth house of traumatic events. Now, you really have to look at the sign involved here to make any predictions and see where the Lord has gone. But very often there are tricky events, sudden events that shift your life. However, it's all a big test for you, okay, because your security can be rocked by these things. But as I say, the older you get and the more rock solid you become, as you develop self-sufficiency, you will not be in any way absolutely seriously damaged by these event. So the more you develop self-sufficiency, the easier you will ride the waves of these events. Now the 11th house. Finally, the 10th aspect on the 11th house. This is quite important and has two aspects to it. First of all, you tend to actually have slow growth of assets from your work. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. That's Lord Shani's blessing to you in a way, okay, because it helps you to persevere and grow in your confidence. Secondly, you always work far better on your own. It's an absolute house of a sole trader, if you're like a small business person or large business person, but you don't do well in a business partnership. That can let you down. Again, all depends on the signs involved. It might be better for a very strong sign than a weaker sign. Okay, so check out my video on the signs of Lord Shani. So you are independent, you are resilient, and you will have a growth of assets. However, friendship wise, there can be some serious issues here. Very often fated things happen in regard to your social networks and friendship circles. Very often you tend to find that people let you down or that you lose a trusted friend. But the really good side of it is that if you give to your friends, if you are giving and sharing with them, then you will always have one or two very trusting friends. Even though your friendships go through big cycles of transformation, you will always have their support. Okay, so I hope that was a useful video for you. Sub to my channel if it was. Starting out again. Coming up soon will be Saturn in your third house. Okay, goodbye for now and God bless everybody.